What have we got for you today? Well, the mirror has splashed on blowtorch Britain, with temperatures expected to hit 42 degrees centigrade today in parts of the country. The Met Office has issued its first ever red heat alert, and Number 10 has finally declared a national emergency. But look at all those people on Brighton Beach, Alison. It's just a bit of sunshine, isn't it? It's completely normal for this time of year. It's not that bad, surely.
Well, I mean, the people on Brighton Beach, as we can see on the front page picture, are having a great time. But I mean, this is an extraordinary moment, really. This is the hottest this country has ever been. Which, if you think about it, it's just extraordinary, and it's been happening for 2 days. And really, we're only beating a record that was set in 2019, so only 3 years ago from the last hottest day. So it shows the frequency with which we're getting these events now, and also that they're lasting for slightly longer periods. So although some people may enjoy the sunshine today, this is now going to become more frequent. And as the idea that the country's grinding to a bit of a halt in so many ways shows what a devastating impact these kind of heats are going to have on people.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how today happens. Obviously, those pictures on Brighton Beach were yesterday because the mirror's good, not that good.
Yes.
But you can't take pictures from the future.
And it wasn't that well. It was lovely yesterday, but it wasn't anywhere near as hot as it's going to be today.
No, so hopefully those beaches will be a bit more empty today. If we hit 42 degrees Celsius today, as Alison said, this could be the hottest temperature ever recorded in the British Isles since the time of the dinosaurs. In fact, since we started recording stuff, to be fair. So lots of people, though, have been talking about the 1976 heatwave and how we all survived that. Well, the top temperature then was 35.9, 7 degrees less almost, which is why it seemed excessive and quite deadly at the time in 1976, if anyone can remember that. Now, 42 degrees centigrade is hotter than your internal body temperature of 37, which is why going outside when it's 42 degrees will cook you. And it starts with the brain, which is perhaps why some of the climate change skeptics are having a problem. Morning, Carrie. And now so the highest temperature we've ever had recorded before, as Alison said, was 2019. That was 38.7. The previous record before that was 38.5, which was in 2003. So it does seem to be getting hotter, Alison, you're right. Now, are the experts saying, this is all just a natural cycle? Just things get hotter and colder, get over it?
No, I mean, we've seen this across Europe over the last couple of weeks, that the temperatures, and we've seen those wildfires in France and Portugal and Spain. And there's definitely all the evidence by the credible scientists shows that this is happening more frequently and it's getting hotter. And this is a result of climate crisis. And whilst we can think the occasional day is lovely because it means we can all get the paddling pools out and have an ice cream, the concern is that if this happens more frequently, which it will do, and to hotter temperatures, yes, we've got the idea that it can kill people because, particularly elderly people who are more susceptible to the heat. It also means that we're going to have to look at the way that all our homes and buildings are built because we're just not used to that kind of heat. It means we're going to have to completely think about our transport. They're closing some of the railways because trains can't run on those because they will have an impact on their machinery. The roads, there's so many things that are going to be impacted. And then, of course, if we're having this here, we're going to have it kind of sort of around the equator. It's even worse. The migration that we've seen in the last 20, 30 years is nothing to what's coming in the next 20, 30 years unless we get a handle on this very quickly.
Well, we're obviously all going to have to move to Norway, aren't we?
Yes.
That's pretty much it. Good luck, Norway. Now, if you give us the comments, ask us your questions. Are you bothered about the heat? What have you done to make yourself less hot today? Have you opened all your windows overnight and closed them during the day? Are you following any of the techniques and hacks that are online? Or are you not bothered? Do you think this is all a bunch of snowflakes getting upset about nothing? Dawn says it's disgusting that some schools close and some don't. It should be the same rule all over, not that some kids suffer and some don't. So yesterday, Dominic Raab came out, Alison, and said the schools should stay open because children need their education. My 6-year-olds had to go to school today. The only, where can I put it? The only concession to the heat is that the headmaster said they can go in their PE kits.
Yeah.
Which is actually hotter than her school dress. So she's in her school dress. But it's a Victorian school that's not built for coping with heat. It's got terrible windows. It's got terrible ventilation. You have problems during COVID as a result of all that. And there's no shade. You know, they can't go running about. They're children. It seems a bit odd that they're not going to be learning in the normal fashion anyway, are they?
Yeah, I think it's difficult for the schools though, in that, you know, if this is going to become more of a frequent event, you know, are we just going to sort of say to schools that they have to close every time it gets above a certain temperature? Also, I think there's an awful lot of people that don't have childcare or cannot afford childcare, and I think, and we also know after coming out of COVID how much damage not going to school did to so many kids. That I kind of think the one learning from COVID is that we should try and keep children in schools at all. You know, my daughter's gone in her PE kit. My son had to go in school uniform. He was allowed not to wear his blazer, but which he was absolutely furious about. But I think
Victorians, thank you.
Schools are really trying to find sort of solutions. But I think this is, as with all walks of life, everyone's going to have to start having a bit of a hot weather plan from now on, because if this is going to happen more often, they've been sort of caught slightly on the hoof. And so I think, yeah, that's right. I mean, like I think Cher said about her school, they've got ice and water play all day, so they are really trying. But it's going to be something they have to think about, I think.
Yeah, it's something we're all going to start thinking about more. I mean, Julia Hartley-Brewer on Twitter yesterday was busy telling me, look, it's just heat. The rest of the world manages. It's normally hotter. They don't all collapse and die. Everything's fine. Stop having a complete meltdown.
And I mean that is true, because you go to countries like you know, like real southern Spain, or you go to India and those countries, but that's because they've had many more years than we have of practice of getting used to this, and you know, putting policies in place. Yeah,
constant fires. The number of times when in my career I've been sent to southern Spain to cover forest fires that are threatening the expats is incredible.
Yeah, and of course it's getting worse for them now as well, so they're having to upgrade all their plans.
Yeah, exactly. Now Mark says they need to go to school, change the dress code. That's what some of them have done. They've removed blazers out of some school, but you know, don't think blazers ever really been linked to an early death, but we have to wait and see, won't we? I keep asking you your questions. What are you doing to deal with the heat? Are you just ice creams all day? Are you sitting in an ice bath? Do you not care? Are you going out to enjoy the sunshine? Are you going to burn yourself to a crisp because you love this kind of weather? Get into the comments and let us know.